Hi creative friends, this is Saraya and thank you so much for being here. So today I'm going to do a video on how we can incorporate very simple figures with faces into our art journals. Now, a lot of times when we think about faces and figures, it can be really intimidating. At least it was for me, especially in the beginning, but it doesn't have to be. It can be fun and playful and very non-serious. So let's just dive right in. I am going to use my blue Stabilo just because I want my lines to be picked up by the camera, but I would recommend that you use an HB, and that way you can kind of see where your placement is, and if you're happy with everything, if you're not, you can erase it, etc. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to see where I want to place my figure. Now I'm going to do two figures, and I'm going to draw a little sun over here. So I think I want my first figure to go here because I want part of it to overlap into this page. So I think I'm gonna kind of go like maybe place my figure like right over there. I think is a good place. Now I'm not going to do any measurements or anything. I'm simply going to draw an oval, and I'm not going to think this is a face. I'm just simply drawing an oval. And I find that when I just draw a shape rather than I'm drawing a face, it just tends to go better. So I'm just drawing an oval here. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a rectangle like so. And then I'm going to draw a triangle. And I'm going to put the apex of the triangle right over here in the middle, right there. That's going to be the apex. And just like that. Now, that obviously looks like a stick figure drawing you might have drawn in elementary school, and that's totally fine. That's what we want, actually. The simpler, the better. So now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to draw another figure, but I am not going to draw a figure with a neck. It's going to be a figure with a robe. So I'm going to do my oval again, and I am just going to kind of put it on the same horizon line, the face. Okay. And again, I'm just drawing an oval. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my apex of my triangle right over here. And like so. Now, a robe is not a gender-specific clothing article. In a lot of parts of the world, men wear robes. So, you know, if you want to do a woman, that's fine. But if you want to do a man, that's totally possible as well. So as you can see, these are very basic stick figures. And I'm going to just put a circle over here, like so. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to soften up this line. So on this right angle of the rectangle here, I'm just going to soften it up. So I'm just going to soften it up and follow that and kind of go like so, and then I'm gonna soften it up and go like so. And I'm gonna just go a little bit darker here. So if you're happy with the placements of your figure, then go ahead and you can use a darker pencil, even a Stabilo. If you're not, you can erase it and then just redo it until you're happy with your placement and your shape, etc. So again, I'm just gonna go darker here, and I'm gonna kind of go like so. And there we go. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to draw some hair. And you know, there are so many different hairstyles. You do not have to do the hair that I'm doing, but you know, this is a very basic hairstyle that I really like to do because I draw and paint Indian women, and Indian women generally have their hair up in a bun, or you know, you can do a headdress. I mean, you know, it's your art journal, so you can do whatever you want to do. Now, I did mention this in a previous video I did on incorporating figures into our art journals. And I will put the links to a few videos in the description below that I think are helpful. But, you know, when it comes to your art journal, like, there are no rules, because it's kind of like somebody going into your diary and saying, well, you know, you shouldn't be writing this and you shouldn't be writing that and blah, blah, blah. You should be using, you know, proper spelling and proper grammar and etc. That would be a ridiculous thought, because your diary is your diary and it's your personal space. It's the same thing with art journals. They are your personal space, so you can do whatever you want to do. Another great thing to do is, I'm not going to do it in this video, but you can also add writing. Like, just say I wanted to, like, this is a dress. I could just add writing. Like, I could fill the whole thing up with writing, because writing and words are just their lines. And, you know, so they are going to read as a dress. And I've seen it done, and I've also done it in my art journal, and it's really, you can get some really beautiful effects. I've actually seen a whole entire drawing done by writing words. It was really quite fascinating. So now what I'm going to do is, I am going to put a background color, because I just want to push the background, you know, I want to push it like spatially, and I also want to solidify the background. So I'm just going to use this cashew chalk paint, and I'm just using this, you know, because I do love chalk paint. But, you know, if you wanted to, you can add like a different color. You can add like, say, a different color into the chalk paint if you have chalk paint. And you don't even have to use chalk paint. I just like chalk paint because it's got really great covering power, and it's really a great ground for adding any kind of text on top of it. So once this dries, it makes it really easy for me to go in with my pen and make like really beautiful marks. And as you can see, these are, you know, very basic stick figures, but they do read as figures. You know, it doesn't have to be this really complicated process. Because you can see how it started. I just basically used shapes, but now they are kind of starting to look a little bit more sophisticated. You know, they're starting to look like, oh, that's hair, that's a face, that's a body. And the thing about the human mind is, we are so, like, we are wired to see faces. How many times have you like looked at an object or a tree and you're like, oh, I see a face there. You know, I see eyes and I see like this abstract face in the tree trunk. It's because, you know, we are wired to kind of look, like, to look for like patterns and a face and stuff like that. And if we don't see it, we can even like fill in the gaps and make it up ourselves in our mind, and then we will read it as a face. So anyways, while I allow that to dry, I am just going to kind of just make a very basic neckline over here. And if you can see, this is not even symmetrical. Like, see, I went like this, and then I made the curve, and then I made the curve over here a little bit different. But you know what? I like that. It adds interest to the page, and I'm really digging it. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use my my all black Stabilo, and I'm just going to sketch in just some facial features here. So I will put a link in the description below. Like I said, I did a video on how to use our composition book to draw faces. And I'm not really worried about, you know, it looking a certain way and all of that stuff. I mean, you know, I just want to get some features down here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same over here, but I think over here I'm just gonna close the eyes just for, you know, just like for variation here. So I'm gonna keep those eyes closed over there. Okay, now I'm not sure if the camera can pick up on these lines, so I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit closer. But let's see here. So see, I just added some basic features. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding some colors, and I set off some collage to the side here, and there's just various different things that I love. So this is just my own art from a composition notebook that I am using as collage. And this over here is just some scrapbooking cards that I had. This is a class that I took many years ago, and I have these little watercolor sheets of paper that I did, and I just absolutely love the patterns that showed up on there. I think I was taking a class with Tracy Verdugo. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I'm probably not, but I just love her art, and I took a class with her many years ago, and that was a class about values, I think. And I'm totally loving that piece. And these are some dictionary pages, and this is some handmade paper. So I'm just gonna see, you know, what I can incorporate here. And this is what I mean about it just being a very fun process. So just like have fun with the whole entire situation. Like just try to say, hey, you know, like where, like, let me see, do I want this to just go in the bottom here? So I think what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just going to and I don't want a clean edge, so I'm just going to rip it. But, I mean, if you wanted a clean edge. Now, I am going to cut that part over there. But this part is just fun. Like, just try to find pieces like a puzzle and try to see, like, where you can put them, you know? Like, I love that. Oh, my God. I absolutely love that. That is just so delicious. Now, I'm just going to use my glue stick for this. I mean, I guess I could use my Mod Podge, but we're just going to use my glue stick. Now, I really recommend that you guys get a cheap lined composition book or two because it's so good for so many different reasons. Now, I'm just going to use my pen here, and I'm just going to kind of make some marks over top of my pencil just so it shows up. Now, if you want to, you can add paints over top, or you can add oil pastels or gouache or watercolor. I mean, or even like, you know, colored pencils. I mean, really, the sky's the limit here. You can just do whatever you want, basically. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some paints actually. And I think I just wanna go with a solid pink over here just to kind of like, you know, it's gonna pick up on some of the pink in the collage, but it's also going to just kind of give the eye a resting place as well. And now what I'm gonna do is bring some of this pink into the lips over here. And now I'm gonna see what can I put over here. And I don't wanna go with the same pink, and I don't even want to go with a pink at all, actually. I think I'm gonna go with, no, that doesn't go. And I really, I really love this. And I'm gonna see how I can kind of incorporate that. So like I said, this is so informal, and all I'm doing is just playing and having fun and just seeing like, hey, you know, what do I like? And this is another great way to build up your visual language, is just playing with collage in this way. Because when you're doing it, you are like, you know, you're building up like your vocabulary. Think of your visual language as it is a language. So just like you would build up your vocabulary, say through the years, you know, when you were going to school and reading and stuff like that, when you do all sorts of different things in art, you are building up your visual language by building up your vocabulary. And your vocabulary are things like colors and lines and texture, values. All those elements of art make up our visual language. So this is a great way to go, oh, you know what? I really love, like I really love this white against this black, and I love the, you know, like I love the different values here that are just so dramatic. I really love that. And let's give the sun over here a little bit of life. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use a yellow because I want to pick up on some of this yellow over here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually, you know what, I am going to put some brown paint here for the hair. So as you can see, this is like a very playful process, but once this dries, I can go in here now and I can add a lot of writing. I can add text, I can add lines, marks, I can bring in my Posca markers, and I can go to town and I can make a really delicious kind of an art journal page. I can use collage elements like I love using coffee cup sleeves for different things, like say a collar over here. I can do all sorts of things, but you know what, you guys, I actually just like it basic like this. So anyways, I hope that this has kind of given you some inspiration to add figures and faces in your art journals. And if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.